Hello and welcome to another edition of Off the Record. I'm Sean Smith and I'm here with Powder Keg. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Justin and I play bass and I sing in Powder Keg.
Hi, my name's Jake. I play guitar and I also sing in Powder Keg.
Hey, my name's Peter and I play drums and sometimes they make me sing, but you know how it is.
All right, so I'm going to start with a really simple question for each of you. You guys can go around the table. What got you guys into music originally?
Oh man, for me it was rap actually. When I was 13, I used to listen to like Eminem and Eazy-E and stuff like that. And then once I discovered old Green Day, I kind of fell in love with rock and roll. Yeah. And then I went through a huge AC/DC phase and.
I think everybody has that.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody that I know has had that.
Yeah.
As for me, I got a lot into music just through my family for the most part when I was very young. Almost everybody in my family played an instrument and a lot of them played guitar. So I kind of picked that up when I was a little bit older in my teen years. Started out with piano and, really got into rock and roll and things like that when I was in my teen years as well. Listened to a lot of hair metal. I loved like bands like Def Leppard and Iron Maiden. I liked a lot of the Scorpions material and such. So anything along those lines. And then it slowly developed a little bit more into like pop punk and more alternative music when I was in high school. And then, here we are now.
Yeah, I had a kind of a weird upbringing, I think. I had to like go back and figure out where I got my music from. So my mother's side of the family has a lot of music, and my dad's a musician. Actually, the day right before our gig, I got something going on with him. But he used to be in a big band, and I used to like sit in on their rehearsals and like play Game Boy and be like, what is this? What is this music? I don't get it. But it certainly influenced like how I would listen to music later, and then I started playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3.
Nice. And
that was my soundtrack. And that turned me.
I hear that, man. So were you guys like in bands before Powder Keg, or?
Yeah.
I was, yep.
A couple of mess around punk bands in high school, but nothing really to be proud of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about those a little bit? Or?
Sure, I'll talk a little bit about a couple of my experiences in the past. First, like real band I was really in was something called the Glass Menagerie. We were based out of Andover. And it was myself and a few of my friends from high school. And it was a pop punk band. We started out with a little bit more of like a post-hardcore feel, like Coheed and Cambria. And then we eventually built into something more along the lines of like Hit the Lights and Fall Out Boy, things like that. It lasted for about 3 years. We did 2 EPs. And, I think it was just us all separating for college, kind of broke us away from each other. And we weren't able to keep up consistent gigs and just kind of fell apart. And then I kind of did my own thing for a little while and did acoustic shows, and then I also worked with another band under my own name. And then eventually Justin and I kind of met together once, and he wanted to start a band, started something punk related, and I really wanted to get back into it after the Glass Menagerie, so it's kind of how we started this up.
Okay, so that kind of segues into the next question, which was going to be how did you guys all meet initially?
So, do you want me to do this? Cool.
We'll go backwards.
We'll go backwards. So, actually, I can take out a couple questions. I actually used to be in a band with one of our old bandmates who played bass in Powder Keg.
Okay.
And I was in like a lot of high school bands with him. Shout out to Holy Cannoli and Polarity. Fantastic figuring it out bands. So I had a break from him. He went out and lived in Boston, and then he was like, hey, this band needs a drummer. This band has had a lot of instances where drummers would just fall out and just weren't reliable. And I found 2 opportunities in that to be in a band with my good friend again, in a band that had tracks that were successful and came together really well, and also an opportunity to just play in a professional sense to like fill in, and I came in as kind of like a fill-in guy initially, and then we got attached. We played some N64, jammed the jam, and now we're here.
Nothing like a little golden eye to bond over.
Yeah.
Dead on.
Absolutely.
So, as far as writing goes, how do you guys approach it?
Well, what we did was, when me and Jake decided to start this band, actually the second attempt we decided to start this band, we said, here's what we're going to do. Me and you are going to write a 5-song EP, write the whole thing out, and then find members. It took us exactly 1 year to the day to write this 5-song EP. And basically the way we did it was, I would travel to Jake's house in Worcester. I lived in Western Mass about once a week, and we would sit in front of a microphone and yell at each other and scream and fight, and eventually, after a while of fighting and screaming at each other, we'd have a song. And that's really just how it worked. It's just, wow. It was just grueling.
A lot of that has to do, too, with just the intensity of the music, Yeah. I mean, in the way that we kind of have to communicate to bring out the rawest feeling of anger and that kind of angst that we want to feel in the music, you kind of have to get your hands dirty. You kind of have to, fight for certain parts that you want. And, when I say fight for it, it's not always this really agreeable process. And that's what I kind of like about
it's literally
writing
a fight.
It is, we
get the healthiest sense possible.
Absolutely.
I think we were in we were at my cousin's. We were tracking drums, and we were at my cousin's place, and they were all saying it's amazing that you're so honest with each other, so brutally unapologetic and critical. And I think the band's already held together by a passion of the music and Rock N Roll Uganda, which we'll talk about later, but yeah, I think it's okay. It's weird, of course, to be so angry with each other.
Well, because and a lot of bands I was in the past too.
Not actually.
There's just this tendency to brush those issues under the rug and not think about things and just kind of not face anything honestly,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it always
don't want to step on any toes,
right? And nobody wants to agree to disagree. Nobody wants to just say, all right, you're right, I'm wrong. Everybody's got to put their own ego into it. And you know what? The fact that we kind of fight over it kind of makes us step back for a second and say, all right, this isn't my call.
Yeah.
I think a better way to put it would be that we don't fight a lot, but we make sure to call each other out on things. Mm-hmm. So that it doesn't become that. So that it doesn't become a fight or it doesn't become an ego struggle or anything like that. Not that.
Yeah.
Not that we inhabit that anyways, but
we rely purely on democracy too. If we're outvoted, if I'm outvoted 2-1, that's it. That's right. No more argument.
Yeah, yeah. So, when you three first got together and first jammed, how did you know that this was the lineup?
Well, what's funny is we were actually a 4-piece, and then we were a 5-piece. Okay. With me just singing, Jake playing lead guitar, another person playing rhythm guitar, and then Peter's friend, he just talked about playing bass. And basically, those two members, they I don't want to go too much into detail out of respect, but they just kind of wouldn't do their jobs. And we had to do everything for them pretty much. And we just kind of had, not a falling out, but it was all right, guys, that's it. That's it. We can't do it anymore.
It was but it really was a natural progression. Both those members had things that they could put their energy towards better, in their own music, and I think it makes sense because honestly, to answer the question, how did we find that this was the lineup? We didn't know until a few months ago. Yeah. Even though I'd been playing with you guys for half a year now, until those other two members left, it turned out that these guys knew their parts the best. Yeah. And I was already playing with them, and everything just felt, smooth as butter to play through and just, iron things out. The communication was all there between the three of us, and it was 100%.
And we were going to be a 3-piece just temporarily, just so we didn't have to cancel our shows. But then we played our show on the 16th at Turismo's, and we were like, wow, we are great as a 3-piece. Yeah. And now we love it.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like there's sort of a lack of 3-piece bands nowadays. There's a lot of the local bands tend to be 3-piece, I've noticed, but a lot of hidden talent comes out when you're a 3-piece, I feel like, because you got to know all the parts down pat, and you got to be right in there, right in the pocket, otherwise you're in deep shit.
Right. Yeah. You take on more responsibility. There are few people.
Yeah. So, next question. As far as playing live goes, what do you think was how do I word this? What do you think is your greatest challenge playing live?
A lot of it is just kind of with all the member changes and things like that, our sound has changed a lot too, and it's kind of balancing things out, equalizing things, and also making sure that, you know, when we're on stage, we're as prepared as possible. So, I mean, we practice extensively, as often as we possibly can, and we try to, even if we're not practicing, stay in communication and stuff like that, so that when we get up to that moment on stage, we have the least amount of hurdles to get over, but still at the same time, it can be really difficult, you know, to go up on stage in a very new place, and there's always something that's going to come up when you get up
There's
there.
always something goes wrong.
Always. You
whether it be an amp malfunction or a mic that just doesn't work.
Or a PA speaker that blows.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. I mean, I haven't performed a lot live, but I know from what I have done that there's always something that goes wrong.
Yep.
There's never a perfect ever. I've never heard of anybody having something perfect.
Right. It's like you have that perfect show, and then it's like, guys, we're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
We had the perfect show, so I guess we go home and we unpack, and that's it. We're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't do it for the perfect show.
I feel like bands have done that, though. Like, bands, if they feel like they've had a perfect show, I feel like I've heard of a band that's done something like that.
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
I don't know who it was. It was one of the bigger bands around. I can't remember who it was. They just don't play live anymore.
That's weird. I mean, I was partially joking, but like, I guess that could exist.
Not with
you
us.
know, is like, we're way too.
That's
like,
the case. We'll keep it imperfect.
We're way too self-critical, or it's self-motivating.
Yeah.
In that way, but like, if you get too comfortable with your own performance. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought of that. But
well, I mean, I feel like if you get too like lax, then the performance isn't there anyways.
oh sure,
You know,
absolutely.
Right. Oh, of course.
Because
I'm always nervous when I go
yeah.
on stage. Always.
If you're not nervous and nothing goes wrong, I feel like you're not doing it right.
Or your
You
stuff
know?
isn't really that good, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Contentedness is. There's that. That's a word. Yeah.
Complacency.
Complacency.
Yeah.
Complacency.
Complacency and
Better word for
content. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
I never feel those.
Yeah. When is a song actually done right?
That's a great question.
You know?
Yeah.
Go on and on about that.
Yeah. Why don't we talk about that a little bit? Like, how do you decide if a song is
We
done?
don't. I mean, we do. I mean, you finish the song, you have all the lines, all the guitar parts, all the bass parts, and the song is complete.
And even everything
Yeah.
recorded too.
And everything recorded. And then you listen to it for the 1001st time, and you realize that those last lyrics on the last song are really corny, and you just want to change them. But it's like, you can't, kind of. And then Jake fights me on it, saying that they're not corny, and Peter's just trying to break me and Jake up from yelling at each other.
I'm like,
Well,
such a diplomat.
some of the nice things I do like about music, though, and the reason I honestly love doing this is because music always evolves. You know, it's always changing. You know, you look at some of the biggest artists out there, and I mean, even Queen remixed a bunch of their records. Towards the end when Freddie was kind of going out. And, you know, it's just crazy to see how something like that transitions. I mean, we've come up with other vocal parts that, you know, came up a year after we finish a song, and then we scrap them, you know, like all this kind of stuff is just the organic nature of music, and that's why I love it, you know?
So, I mean, as far as playing live, do you guys play songs like sometimes differently live?
Yes,
sometimes
actually.
we're open to it.
We do have one part at the beginning of one of our songs called Lies, where during the recording we actually have this alarm clock soundbite go off.
Yeah.
And then during the live performance, to kind of fill in for that, I actually switched to a lead in that part, and then Justin comes in with this bass, and we kind of come together as a band. So it creates a better live element rather than just kind of holding up an alarm clock, which I think would also be kind of cool.
I thought
be
about
pretty
that.
funny.
Yeah.
I thought about that, but you know what? Green Day already did it.
Oh.
They did something to that effect. So.
Beat us to it. That's why they have Broadway, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. But we even go as far as like we had Jason. Shout out to Write Your Story. We had him jam with us at Sadie's.
That's right.
Sadie's Bar and Grill.
He came out. He asked us if he could just do a breakdown part and sing, and we were like, "Dude, of course." you know?
So we just took a separate, just a chunk of our song. It was just like, this is your chunk. This is, you just do what you do here.
And he did it.
Yeah, and I remember that. That was pretty good.
That's right. You were there.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, that's how we met. Was at Sadie's. Do you guys play? I don't know how well you guys know Eddie. Do you guys play Eddie Battle's shows very often?
Yeah, we mostly most of our shows have been through him. I think all of them.
No, we've had a couple that were outside, or I think we only had one actually that was outside of him.
Yeah, and then the one coming up is outside of him as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that one at the Sons of Italy in Haverhill.
That's right. That
was through Wicked Sick Music.
Right. That was
Shout out to them.
Oh yeah, Wicked Sick is great. Actually, I didn't get to answer a thing about like other bands that I've been in, but it's kind of like stupid.
I want to hear it.
So with Wicked Sick, I used to actually be in a band with Tyler. Tyler
yes.
D. Lombardi. Lombardi, sorry, buddy. And we used to be in a band called Empirical. That was another high school band. That was a cool, like, figuring out who we were was as instrumentalists. They were like a way heavier band though. Also, shout outs to some other bands. The Ghosts of Electricity. Greg Kane is my cousin who does some solo stuff. Govinda Sky. Yeah. My uncle, not uncle, who does crazy like hip hop cultural stuff. He's just all. Haven't I told you about this?
No, you have not told me about
Govinda Sky, man.
You're gonna have to link me.
I'll link it. Geez. Oh, White and Yellow Lights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They played. I was split between them. I got double booked at that Sadie show. But he's another high school friend. I reconnected with him recently, and he's, I love playing with that band. I'm missing something. I
have no idea.
So many things, so little time.
Well, people I haven't played with a lot. Like I spread myself out like pretty thin, but it's it's all for the sake of just doing it.
Dude, one of my dreams has been, like, I've been thinking about this for, like, a few months now, and I just want to do, like, a super group of so bad of just local musicians. Like, wow. I really want to do something like that.
It would be cool.
And, like, have, like, one lineup that just plays live, but, like, have the original studio lineup play live once.
Yeah.
And it'll be the only time they ever play live.
That's great.
Wasn't there something like that back in, I think it was like 2007, they did that kind of like the Live Aid style thing where they did 777, it was on July 7th, and all around the world they had these concerts going on, and one of them was in, I think, I want to say New York City at this huge stadium, and then Metallica came out with all these other musicians too. I think they had 30 people on stage playing bass, and they all played what was it? Big Bottoms by Spinal Tap.
Yeah. I would be so down to do something like that. I'm just a singer, so I would be able to stay in the lineup. I wouldn't care, but like I'd want other people in there.
Right.
Totally.
So if you guys ever want to do a super group thing,
you just let us know. You know how to get us.
So more questions. Let me see. I know you play bass, you play guitar, and you play drums. Do you guys play any other instruments? Well, obviously singing, but
yeah. Well, actually, I started out as a guitar player for Powder Keg. I mean, guitar is like my main instrument. And then when we lost those two members, I picked up the bass out of necessity, and I totally fell in love with it.
Yeah.
So now I'm like a bass player more than I am a guitar player.
That's wild.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
And Peter plays like everything.
Don't say that.
Super group.
There's some things. Okay, all right. I have to. Can't be too modest, but I will say that I don't play piano, and I don't play piano nearly as good as his younger brother.
This is Jake. My younger brother Jesse is in Berklee College of Music right now. He just finished his fourth semester there, and he's an absolute amazing talent.
He's a madman.
Yeah.
He's a beast, huh?
Yeah.
I can
like to see that.
I can say comfortably though that I play guitar, drum set, and bass.
And ocarina.
Oh, well, yeah.
And the mellophone.
Or the melodica.
Melodica.
Well,
And
if the melodiphone is something, then maybe.
You probably could play it.
Probably could.
Yeah, Peter's a jack of all trades.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, but I like it. You know, if there's a thing to play, I like to try to do it.
Yeah, I wish I could for a while I was trying to invest myself in guitar, but I didn't have the patience for it, man. I couldn't.
It's a complex instrument. It's definitely worth that.
Yeah,
worth the time and
I'm sure it is. It's just for me, I'm so focused on being a vocalist. You know, that it's just all my time goes into that when it's music time, and every time I think of doing something else, and I'm like, oh yeah, that would be pretty cool. I should try that, and then I start to pick up guitar again, and I'm just like,
well, there's something interesting about just vocalists.
Yeah,
where it's okay to be just a vocalist, and honestly, those when I look at bands where there is just a vocalist, that person comes off more as a personality, because then everything that they put into their music is entirely about their voice and what's there. They're not influenced by their guitar, or they're not writing based on that. They're just vocalist.
Yeah,
They're
I guess
just
so.
A vocalist.
I never really thought of it that way, but yeah, now that you say it that way, I think about Rob Halford, and it's definitely
right. Or is Maynard James Keenan?
Tool? I think he plays other instruments, but he doesn't in Tool.
He doesn't in Tool. But
it's
he's
who you're going to see tonight?
Yeah.
Extreme. Oh my God, why am I blanking on his name?
Gary Cherone.
Gary Cherone. You know, he was such a personality. He's just straight out of the '80s, and he just kind of kept that energy going for hair metal easily into the mid '90s, and you know. Like I said, I grew up with that kind of stuff, and I just loved watching him play and watching him sing, and his personality was just so wild. I gotta say, the Extreme album that came out after 3 is I always forget the name of that album. Waiting for the Punchline?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
That album is ridiculous, dude.
So good.
That's the album I started with.
So way more raw than anything that had come up previously too.
That's the album I started with, and I had no idea. That's another musical upbringing thing. My stepdad is just he had a lot of random CDs, and when I was 12, I was like, "What's Marilyn Manson?"
Yeah,
and that just totally changed.
It changes your world. The first time I heard 9 Inch Nails, it was all over.
Oh yeah, forget about it.
Yeah. As soon as that happened, I was just like, I want to be
the very best.
Yeah. no one ever was. Yeah, but I wanted to be a music producer after that so bad. I really wanted to produce music after hearing Downward Spiral. Just the way that album sounds. There's so many different textures on that album, you know?
Absolutely.
And as far as recording goes, do you guys put a lot of thought into that sort of thing?
Yeah, I'll say so. Most of the recording, when we are initially just putting things together, I do it through my computer. I've been doing audio recording on computers since 2004.
Wow.
And I mean, I was just a kid. I was 13 years old, just plugging into the microphone jack on the back of the computer.
Yeah.
You know, just plugging my guitar in and just making a little riff.
That's kind of the setup we used to have in here.
There you go.
So
it was just bare bones. And even before that, I was using MIDI programs, just kind of arranging music and stuff. And I've always had a fascination for the same thing, production. I love it. And when Justin approached me about, we should do this, we should try to take another attempt at this, I thought of it as a great opportunity to kind of push myself back into
Actually, you approached
recording.
me.
Well, I wanted to push myself back into that realm of recording with that style too, because I hadn't done anything like that in a while. It's all been acoustic for the last 2 or 3 years, and then just miking up my Marshall amp for the first time. There was nothing like it when I first heard that.
It's wild, isn't it? The sound of a mic'd amp is just...
You can't beat it. A lot of these guys doing direct in nowadays, even on live settings, it's I
can't hack
chunky,
that stuff.
Choppy tone, and there's nothing like that vintage sound.
Yeah, the sound of a Marshall is just you can't ever replicate that. I don't care how hard you try.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm pretty sure even Angus is plugging in direct now from AC/DC, which is.
Wow.
It's a shame. It's not the same sound. It's close, but it's not.
Is it a concept of the volume, the sheer volume that people are playing at, that they would prefer to plug in? Because
it's also the clarity through PA speakers and things like that too. Because when you're placing mics, you're on a live stage, and those things can move around. The louder the mic, the amps are.
Things can get knocked down.
You got feedback like crazy too, because you got running all these mics through the same thing. So a lot of times it's more practical.
Right.
But, I used to do load-ins for shows down in the Palladium and at the Webster in Hartford, and there was this one band that came on stage once, and they had this like, I can't even describe like how upset I was about this, because there's a 5-foot drop from the stage that we had to go down, and it looked like a server rack of all of these different what are they called? Effects racks, like rack mounts, and this thing weighed at least 300 pounds.
Oh my god!
We needed 7 of us to get it up on stage, and it was
that's
like
a nightmare.
And these guys went up and they played 5 songs and they got right off, and it was like the most annoying thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, why do you need all this?
Actually, that reminds me of another like really kind of depressing thing that I once saw with one of my high school bands. Shout out to Cain and Abel.
How many shout outs are you going to do, Peter?
Seriously.
He's got a lot of bands to shout out.
Shout out to my mom, my family,
my grandma.
What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so that story. I played with them at actually the Onset Music School in Wakefield. Shout out to them. And there was another band that played there. I forget the name, but it was like such a small venue, and they came in with like effects racks, the size of servers. Their drummer was wearing, actually they were all wearing in-ear monitors. They had a setup that was like only necessary for like a theater.
Somewhat understand in-ear monitors, because it is.
Well, they were using like samples and a click.
Oh my god!
Drummer, but it was like the building, the playing area had to be like, if you emptied out this lobby here, it would be like maybe a little bit bigger than that, and then an extension for like seats.
See, stuff like that makes me angry.
Right.
Like, it just makes me angry.
That's why I brought
At that point, it's like
there's no organic nature left in the music,
right,
Like there's no rawness to it.
With the in-ear monitors, it's one thing, because it's sometimes better than having the monitors on the floor or whatever.
That's not even the worst part.
Yeah,
though. Like,
but
everybody left
the effects
before they start playing. I felt so bad because they set all that stuff up, and I listened to their stuff too, and it was good, but just bring a combo, just mic it up.
Line 6 amp. Done and done.
It's not hard.
No,
just do it.
And yeah, there are plenty of statements on music within that, and in your story as well.
Yeah, I mean, people like to complain about how synthetic the 80s sounded. Like, things are pretty computerized now, though. Yeah, like, it's a lot worse now.
Kidding? Of course.
It's so much worse. And nobody seems to realize that. I don't...
No, I mean, it's trends. It just kind of weasel its way nicely right into the music scene.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's such a technological age. I guess it had to happen.
Yeah, once one person tries it, catches on, everybody's gonna try it.
Right.
Because it's like, it's a lot easier to make music now. Let's do it. It's like, I mean, a lot of these things, it's really cool that everybody gets an opportunity now to make their own music, but it also makes the music market sort of flooded.
It inflates it.
Yeah.
With anything.
It inflates it a bit, and I think it's important for musicians to still. Like, as a musician, like, I've always learned that, like, you kind of have a responsibility to even if you don't care for a particular kind of music, to still understand it.
Yeah.
Because, like, you might get a call, like, I have to play country tomorrow. I have to play hip hop. I really love. Shout out to Gospel Chops.
All right, I think that's that you've reached your 10 shout out quota.
Right. So
holy cannoli.
Right.
Shout out to the Jake Madison band.
Oh my god.
but like that kind of drumming, it is geared towards like gospel music and hip hop.
Yeah.
And I don't play that in a normal basis, but actually I did play with a church band. Shout out to Fellowship. And
oh my god.
Fellowship and Holden. But yeah, so as a musician, you have a responsibility to understand different kinds of music. I love flamenco. I love to play like some of that style. You know, I'm just all over the place. I'm a mess. You guys talk.
What about disco? What do you guys think about disco?
Disco, dude, 4 on the floor, man. Yeah, that's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. Simon Phillips, he got all of his. He strengthened his left foot by playing disco.
There you go.
He had to work on his left foot technique, so he just boom, boom, boom.
Well, to kind of go off of what Peter was saying too, you know, I've tried to understand electronic music. I've tried to make some on my own too, and you know, it's easy. So it's kind of fun to just throw around. You know, it's this kind of thing where you compile something together.
I don't know a thing about. I don't know a thing about music theory. I've made electronic music.
There you go. Like, you really don't need to know much. Yeah. And it's just kind of fun because you just play with something that's just totally different than what you're used to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of a trip. Moving on here, I want to ask you guys each individually how, before Powder Keg even, do you remember what your first show was, like first live performance?
I didn't really have any real live performances until Powder Keg's first show.
Okay.
Like, I've done stuff with like mess around bands and stuff with like school, but it was never really like an actual show. And our first show was just like an empty bar, and that was still like our first thing. And I used to do stand-up comedy. So
oh wow.
So I've been on stage before, but just never with a guitar. And our first show was Powder Keg. I was playing guitar and singing.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I played talent shows and things like that when I was younger. Like the first one I played when I was 13, and I was all excited because it was the first time I got on stage in front of my whole school, and it was really, really fun. And then, you know, after a while, I got into a band. The Glass Menagerie was actually the first real show I played that was with a band. It wasn't at school. You know, it was actually at the old Sad Cafe up in Plastow, New Hampshire. And this was back in like 2008. Yeah. I mean, this place was packed. We played with like another huge band from our school called Acacius.
I remember them.
Yeah, and you know, it was cool. It was like our you know, we were a 3-piece, and I think there's like a little short tidbit video up there of it. But yeah, I just remember being like just totally blown away by being up on stage. And I remember that night too, it was like a good omen too, because all of us kind of met our future girlfriends that night too. Every single one of us.
Wow. Hey.
Yeah. So it was like, oh, hey, you know, we made this band to get chicks, and we did it. Oh my God.
Content, complacency. We're done.
Yep. Perfect show. Done.
Perfect show. Wow. Yeah. That's a tough question. 'Cause I could say like school band too, like the nervousness of, well, I can't say nervousness. I was in percussion, so like I got to hide behind the concert band playing Mission Impossible in 4th grade. But first show, I think it had to be with that band Holy Cannoli with Brent, Seth Bailey, and you know, a couple other friends of ours. Yeah, I think that was our first show, and it was for talent shows and things like that. Yeah, I'm trying to think. The Sad Cafe was definitely one of my first shows ever. I think it was the very first one, either with Holy Cannoli or Polarity, or one of those bands. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Do you guys have like a favorite band that you like to play with? Like
Write your story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Write your story.
Our two bands played our first show together, and they're just like, they're fun, they're energetic, they're hilarious. Like last night, a couple nights ago, I went and saw them in Nashua with New Hampshire Booking with Richie Downs. It's an amazing show. And they did an acoustic set because they're going through some hard times as a band, and they're sticking with it. They're persistent, and that is the only way to get anywhere in music is persistence, and they have it. So it was 3 of them, and then a cardboard cutout of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson behind them the whole time. It was awesome.
Yeah, if I could speak to that too. I mean, Jason, who's the singer there, Bree, the bassist. I mean, they are such cool people, and they're just so much fun to hang out with. And I mean, just having that show in common. The first one we did up in Ed's Shoreline Tavern up on
It was
Salisbury.
Uncle Eddie's.
Uncle Eddie's, yeah.
Uncle Eddie's.
And no, it was just cool because, you know, like I just remember meeting them and how excited both of us were for like this first gig that we were playing. And, you know, they stayed for our set because we played, I think, something around like 11:30 or something like that late at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was just so cool that, you know, right off the bat, we meet this cool band, these guys that want to get us some more shows, that want to help us, and we want to help them, and we support each other already, you know. And this is literally over the course of maybe 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
I mean, they all said it for me. Okay. They're just the best.
Yeah, Write Your Story is pretty cool.
Like that show at Sadie's was like incredible because like we were there, White and Yellow Lights was there, and that's like what 8 people that we were just hanging with, and then Write Your Story was there.
Flight of Fire was there. They killed it.
Yeah,
wearing their shirt right now.
Yeah, they.
That was like a 20 people squad though, and it was just the best.
Yeah,
it was
that was
fun.
such a cool night.
Yeah.
Flight of Fire is opening the half shell
shout
and
out.
That's just awesome.
Legit shout out.
tomorrow. Yeah,
That's just so exciting. And like, yeah, I mean, that, like what Peter's saying about that Sadie show, we met a bunch of other cool bands like the Caps.
Taken,
yep. Like all these guys, just like now you go back and think about it, it's like, it's so awesome that we can go back and talk to these guys again.
What was it? The Womps?
The Womps.
The Womps they were really cool.
We played this
Taken.
band.
What was really funny was
that's one thing about Eddie's shows. Like you're making all these different connections with other bands as well.
He's very
Like,
generous. Yeah.
Taken, though, is kind of really funny. We had a show the next day after that Sadie show with Wicked Sick music. And so we were trying to save our voices for both shows. And then Taken played Kickstart My Heart. And I had no choice but to sing the entire thing and scream every line. The singer put the mic on me, and I screamed the whole song, and then it ruined my voice for the next show.
There's a pretty awesome picture of it up on our Facebook.
There is, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I vividly remember that part of the show.
That was awesome, man. I love that.
That was pretty good. So, as far as like a dream gig, like what do you think? Like venue first, and then like who would open for you, or who would you be opening?
Let's do this one individually because I think we're all gonna have a different idea.
I'd like to go first, if I may.
Go ahead.
When I was living in Colorado, when I started getting into local music scenes, I used to go to this place on Academy Boulevard in Colorado Springs called the Black Sheep, and it was just a venue bar. But it was just like if you go up to the bar and you order a number 1, they give you a shot of Jaeger, and when you put your shot down, they give you a Tall Boy PBR, $4. And it was the coolest venue. Everything in there was really nice. I saw some sick bands there, like Dance Gavin Dance, Saliva. I was mostly just going to hang out with people. But if we could ever go on tour and play at that place, that would be a dream come true. Bands, I don't care who opens up or who we open up for, doesn't matter.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, one of my favorite things about the summer is outdoor shows. I go to a music festival every year called Electric Forest, and you know, it's also kind of me delving into that other side of music that I don't really focus on that much. Because my passions lie with Powder Keg. But that being said, if we ever got to play outside at a nice outdoor venue, where, you know, let's say we're playing with other bands that are along our styles, I'd love it if Flight of Fire, because they've got an awesome following. I'd love to play with, you know, somebody as big as I don't know, even Bad Religion one day, but like those are you know, speculations down the road. But yeah, anything outdoors, like on a big outdoor stage, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I think I have to agree with the outdoor sense, just because it gets so hot inside the venue. I'm thinking as a drummer in this sense too, but yeah, I mean, I have a bit more of an honest answer to go with, is that as long as we're regularly playing, because I think, as a statement on music and streaming music and what the business looks like, I think the whole heart of performing is, you know, like playing live. We're in this to play live, and that's where music should thrive, you know, business wise, even like emotionally, like it as it brings people together. Like it's way better to just go to a show.
Yeah.
Like I would not have I don't know if I can make that bold of a statement. I was gonna say I would rather go to shows than have recordings of shows.
Yeah.
Rather go to shows than even have recordings.
Mm.
You know, because you can go see somebody, and it just makes it that much more special.
Absolutely.
To like see somebody doing
I feel like
something.
recordings at this point are just to learn the words.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Interesting. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly.
So
It's true. So like an outside venue, man. And if I could geek out about any bands, I would have to say I'd want to play with Coheed.
Oh,
yeah,
that would be a dream.
Oh man, yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Do you guys have like a best and worst live performance, like that you can remember?
Oh, I can. Well, let me think, because I have to sift through the files.
We've played
5 shows total.
No, we played 6.
1, 2.
Oh, is it specific to
5.
Powder Keg?
We had
It doesn't matter if
we
it's
had to
just
miss
Powder
one.
Keg or
Just
not.
okay.
Oh, worst shows like
It doesn't matter if it's Powder Keg.
Like, the worst show. Oh my gosh. I remember I had one show. I was doing a progressive rock band project, and I was at the Sad Cafe. And we had this setup that I was doing off of my old laptop from college, and it was this really crummy Dell laptop. And we had it set up through my brother's computer using Ableton Live to use some organ sounds. And we were playing the song Foreplay Long Time. And then I notice about a minute into the song, Jesse's keyboard is just not playing. And I look over, and it's just playing this one note over and over and over again, and Ableton had froze, and I'm just doing everything. I'm pulling plugs out. We're in the middle of a song, and I'm just starting to pull plugs out of the keyboard. I'm plugging the other things in. The sound guy's going crazy because he's like, you're getting all these buzzing sounds, and then all my bandmates are looking at me like, he's insane. And I was just doing whatever I could to get the organ to make a sound again. So basically, I was just pulling the computer away and just plugging it right into the keyboard sound. And I remember after that night was just, we sat together. And
What
I was
a
like,
nightmare.
That was a bad show. That was not good.
all my playing live experiences have been with Powder Keg. And I found that after every show, I always think that we did well, but I always think we can do a lot better. And it's I don't want to say it's never what I want it to be, but like we were just talking about, complacency and stuff like that. There's always room for improvement, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it probably never will be exactly what you want.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
To give you my worst experience on stage, though, not just playing music, when I was doing comedy, my very first comedy show was kind of a dare. And I won't tell you what I said, but I said something really, really vulgar. So vulgar and so dirty that people's jaws literally dropped and they all just stared at me until I left. It was the worst.
That's bad.
Yep.
How about you, Peter? What's the worst experience? We want to hear bad first.
Worst experience? Okay, I'm probably missing out on something, because like, I guess the biggest malfunction would have to be, malfunction on stage. It'd have to be at it was actually at Anchors Up. I was playing with like
wow.
and I was playing Anchors Up, and actually my friend's band was there, Absolutions. They're no longer together now, but it was all heavy music. It was all like,
as is Anchors Up.
Right, of course, right. But the whole scene was not exactly what we were doing. The music that we were playing was like very Opeth inspired, and so like heavy, but also very technical.
Very metal.
We were playing songs up there that were like this one particular riff that is like an 11/4 or something. It's just very, very weird stuff.
Yeah.
And it just didn't translate at all. And
people just didn't get it?
People didn't get it. Like the guys in the band heard one girl say like, "Why does it sound like the band keeps skipping a beat? It sounds like they're missing something." And it was like, oh no. Like another girl who was like,
musically inept people.
No. Well, no. I mean, she was right to say that. If it doesn't groove, then it doesn't groove. But another girl who was just like, Pink Floyd stinks. You're down with Pink Floyd. Like outside, I said something about Pink Floyd, and she was like, "Yeah, Pink Floyd, just bad." forget Pink Floyd. And I was like, I mean, she said something way worse. But I was like, whoa,
Why?
what do you talk? Because it's just the scene, man.
God, it's horrible.
Exactly. So
hence no more Angels Up.
and then during our
I tried to stay away from that place.
Yeah, that was pretty raunchy.
And then during our set, actually, I had a lot of like auxiliary kind of percussion things going on, and I had a cymbal stand that wasn't properly tightened enough. So I had a ride cymbal go down. I had a floor tom go down to the side. My first tom was attached to, I believe it was attached to a cymbal, and it kept like moving forward, and I had to like keep pushing it. So I was like,
you were having
not
like
only
major
playing,
malfunctions.
not only playing like taxing music, but also the whole ship was going down.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man. So
I guess that's the worst.
Yeah. What about best experiences now?
I guess I can start out.
The time you got a girlfriend?
That one time. Nicely done.
Best day of his life.
I had a pretty cool show experience. I've had a couple of ones that were just really, really well put together, but I think one of my favorite, just overall experiences, it wasn't necessarily like the best show ever on stage, but when I was with my band, the Glass Menagerie, it was our last show we ever played, just because after that point it was just impractical to keep trying, because we would have to come together from college, and one of the band members lives in Nashville and one lives in Keene, and they all live in separate places. So we came together finally for like one last show, because this kid actually, I think he was like 15 turning 16 from New Jersey, somewhere near Trenton, like called us and said, "Hey, do you want to come play my birthday party? There's a whole bunch of bands playing, and we'd love for you guys to like headline it." And I was like, we were like, okay, sure, So we packed up in my RAV4, 4 of us, and we just brought basic stuff. We only brought, just the bare minimum for the drum set. We didn't even bring any amps. I think we brought like maybe just the heads, and then our guitars and stuff. And we packed up, drove 6 hours down through New Jersey, down the Pike, and then ended up in Trenton. And we got to this neighborhood, and it's kind of crazy. I don't know if you've been to like suburban New Jersey, but every house is super close together. They're like, it's just, everything is cookie cutter, and every road is cookie cutter. It looked kind of like what you'd see in like a movie based out of California. But anyways, we go around the back, and sure enough, there's this big old stage. There's like 50 kids there just hanging out, rocking out to like every band at that time too. This was back in, I think 2010, was playing that song by a Day to Remember or something, Downfall of Us All or something. Literally every band that went up before us played that song for their opening song. It was kind of funny because you heard all these different bad versions of it. And then we went up there, and not even 10 seconds into our intro song, our drummer's bass kick drum was moving up, and he just stops playing. And I turn around and I go, "Grant, you..." Expletive. I started freaking out like right on stage, and we were 10 seconds into this. I'm swearing at this guy in front of 15-year-olds. But then we turn around, and they had this big tent over our heads because it was starting to rain a little bit. And I remember on the first song, I was jumping up and down, and I hit my head on it a few times. And then this kid in front of me goes, "Hey man, that was awesome, but you're bleeding." And I had like blood coming out of my lip because I hit my face on this, like on the microphone and on the thing above me. But anyways, we played like a 7-song set, and I just jumped into the crowd. We were pushing people around, man. It was just so much fun, and I never really had such an awesome response, even from just a small crowd like that. Yeah. So like that'll stick with me forever.
Yeah.
So 2 things. I was gonna say, I was wondering if that was the best experience.
I would say that was the most memorable, best experience so far.
Sure, because there was quite a plot.
Yeah.
A weaving
moved
plot
around
in
a
there.
little bit,
It did move around. And also, Powder Keg does do birthdays.
Yes, we do.
We sure do.
Yep.
We do birthdays.
Every 10-year-old's favorite band. Even girls.
Oh man.
I want to talk about my best experience ever with music was actually in Uganda. Was when me and Jake were up in this district of Uganda called Adjumani, and this is way, way out in the boonies of Africa. And we're just rocking out with our friends up there, and all these villagers, all these kids heard us, and they all came over. There must have been, how many kids? 50?
Oh, yeah, there were a lot. There were so
50
many.
kids, and they have never heard rock and roll before. And I played Man on the Moon by R.E.M. about Andy Kaufman.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if you know that song, but every line he goes, yeah, 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 yeah. And the kids were laughing, and they were singing along with it. And it was probably the best moment of my life, period.
That absolutely counts.
Yeah.
As for the question and life.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes. So, touching upon the Uganda thing, you guys have the movement.
We
Rock
do.
N Roll Uganda.
We do.
Yes.
So, do you guys want to talk about that for a little while?
I would love to talk about Rock N Roll Uganda.
Let's talk about it. Let's
All right.
do it.
Well, the way it started was I was out of the Army for a little while, and I was doing my best to get into college, which is
I did not know you were in the Army.
I was. I'm a veteran for peace. I fought in both wars. I was a combat engineer. I've done it all. I've been shot at. I've been hit with roadside bomb, or just one roadside bomb. And I am a veteran for peace, 100%. I think the wars are fake. There's no reason for us to be over there. And I want to say one more thing. When you go over and you invade a foreign country and you kill innocent people, you are just as bad as the people that you claim to be fighting against. If you hate ISIS because they kill innocent people, stop being worse than ISIS. You know? That's all I wanted to say about the Army. But I do want to. What happened was I felt like I owed the world a debt. I needed to do something to help, and I wanted to go to Africa to help because it's a place where people need a lot of help. Yeah. And so I started looking into programs and stuff like that. And long story short, I couldn't afford a program, so I just went to Uganda by myself. I figured if it was really a third world country, finding a place to live would not be hard.
Well, also you didn't know what you wanted to do when you went there. You
no
just wanted
idea.
to go and
just wanted to go and help.
Right.
In whatever way I could, And I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I didn't know if I was going to be like fixing pipes at an orphanage or building one, or I had no idea. But when I got there, it's a long, long story, so I'll just cut right to it. When I got to my hotel, quote unquote, I was walking around the city and I was just looking for a place to help, like where the kids were, and I didn't see a single kid for 2 hours, and I was like terrified. Everyone was staring at me. I thought I was gonna die, and I went up to the guy at the front desk of the hotel and I said, "Look, man, I'm not from here, but am I gonna die?" And he goes, "Maybe not, but what are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm here to help the kids. Where are all the kids?" And he goes, "They're in school." And I was like, oh. And he's like, "But hey, if you want to go to a place, I know where there's a place with some kids. Let me call my buddy, and he'll take you there on a motorcycle." So this complete stranger in Uganda picks me up on a motorcycle, and I'm just like, let's just go. I'm here. And he takes me to this place called Rainbow House of Hope. And
this is like the craziest story ever.
I'm leaving like everything out.
Because also you were what's the word? Basically, you gotta maybe you won't die.
Yeah.
You were basing your actions on maybe.
Yeah.
I might survive this.
Honestly, I didn't know if I was going to survive or not. It was a really bad place, and I just had to do something,
Yeah.
But so we get to this after school program thing. I didn't really know what it was when I got there, but he just took me to the building. He was like, "There it is. There's that place." And I was like, "All right." And I go up to the front door, and this is exactly what I said. I knocked on the door, and I said, "Hi, my name is Justin. I'm from America, and I'm here to help." And they were like, "Who sent you? Like, what part of you? Who are you with?" And I'm like, I just found this place. This guy just drove me here." And they were like, "What can you do?" And I was like, "I don't know. I can teach English, and I can teach stuff." And they're like, "Well, do you have any talents?" And I said, "Well, I play guitar." And all of their eyes just kind of opened up. They were like, "Whoa, you play guitar?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they go, "Can you fix them?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can fix guitars." And they take me into the little storage room, and they had these 5 acoustic guitars, all broken, and they couldn't be fixed. And basically, I moved in the next day. I ended up fixing 3 of those 5 guitars, and I was teaching guitar. I must have had about maybe 50 students, give or take. Some people will come once a week, twice a week, all over the place. But there were these 3 guys named Sadat, David, and Saeed that I met over there, and they wanted 2 lessons a day, every day. Every day. And of course, I did it. And after I taught them scales and smoke on the water and stuff like that, the only thing left to teach them was stuff that I knew and that I loved, like Bad Religion, Blink-182, Green Day, the Pixies. And this is their first time hearing rock and roll, and they absolutely fell in total love with it, the way I did. It was such an amazing thing.
It's magical.
It is magical. Yeah. And I was there for 3 months teaching, and after I left, we kept in touch. And long story short, they weren't able to use those guitars anymore. And we were trying to figure out what we could do to keep them playing. And they said, "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to make 75 bracelets, these bracelets. and we're going to mail them to you. And you can sell those and then send us the money. And with that money, we'll be able to get a guitar for us. So they sent me 75 bracelets. I was able to actually raise $1,000 off of it, send them the money, and they got 6 guitars. And I thought, like, I was trying to help them get a guitar to keep playing, but they were teaching people. They started teaching people guitar all over the village for free, absolutely for free. If you want to play, come and play and we'll teach you. There's like, as of right now, probably 200 kids in Kampala that can play Smoke on the Water right now. And it's just kind of been escalating from there. And after the 75 bracelets, they sent us 1,000 more, literally 1,000 more bracelets that we still have. We are in a newspaper about it, talking about it. We have
Which newspaper? North Andover?
The Andover Townsman and the Eagle Tribune.
Wow.
So then after a couple of years, once we slowly came to the idea of, okay, we're going to build an organization called Rock N Roll Uganda, that's when I said, okay, I'm going back, and I'm going to go back with a camera crew. We're going to film this thing. And I failed to get a camera crew. The only person that would go over there with me was Jake. He was the only one. When I said, I'm going to Uganda, who's coming with me? Jake was the one that came with me. And he was just going to come to teach them how to play solos and stuff and scales, which I couldn't teach them because I'm not that good enough. So we went over there with 2 video cameras, and we were there for 2 weeks, and we filmed everything that we could. And now we're going to come out with a YouTube channel launching on August 1st to really show the world what Rock N Roll Uganda is all about. And we have a trailer for it right now on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, type in Rock N Roll Uganda, and you will find the trailer. We do a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of motorcycle riding, stuff like that. And my plan is that once the YouTube channel is launched, we're going to raise a lot of awareness and a lot of money to go over there and build an actual building for them to teach in. Because right now they're teaching out of their mother's house in the ghetto, like made of sheet metal and like a mud hut. It's like it's not really a hut, it's like a building, but it's made out of like mud and cement and stuff like that. They can only lock their gate from the inside, so no one can ever leave. Somebody always has to be there to keep it locked, or else someone will come in and steal their guitars. And it's not a good place for them to be teaching, you know? It's all they have right now.
Yeah.
But we're doing everything we can, so when we go back, we'll be able to build a place. And when we go back, I want to go back with 10 people from the local music scene around here. I mean, I have a list of names that I have right now of people who are interested in going. And when the time comes, I'm going to call those people up, and we're going to see what happens. But I have never done this before. I didn't intend to build this organization, but I will tell you right now, I will die for this organization. It will be built. It will.
Yeah, that's freaking amazing, dude. I don't even know what to say to that. That's awesome. And it's such an inspiring story, and I feel like so many more people should get behind this. This is such a good movement.
Because I haven't gone to Uganda. My emphasis on the wrong word.
But Peter is on the list,
but though. Right, I am on the list of people I absolutely want to go. And I didn't go to Uganda, but to give you an idea of like what the culture looks like and how they're taking in the rock and roll sense is that I did a Skype call with them recently with Jake and Justin.
Which we have recorded on our Facebook.
Which we do. It's also on Facebook. So anyway, it was just a blast. They played Blitzkrieg Bop by the Ramones.
They love the Ramones.
And
they love them.
To give you an idea of the rock and roll sense, they had a kid, there was a guy there with 2 spoons or 2 sticks, and he was playing cross-handed.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to play drum set, but they don't have drums. Or they have very minimal drums, but they only have their playing surfaces. But they want that sense of rock and roll drumming. You know, they're already doing that, and that was something that really stuck out to me when they were playing.
That's wild.
I want to say one more thing before Jake tells, because Jake has a lot to say about this too, because he was over there. It was his first time over there when we went. But all the people there, all the kids, all the adults, all the people our age that we talked to, I asked them, why do you want to play guitar? And they all just kind of looked at me funny. They were just like, well, because it's here. Because the opportunity to learn is there. And they absorb this stuff like a sponge. You would be shocked at how fast they learn how to play power chords. It's shocking how much they want to learn.
Yeah, I can speak to that personally too, because when I went over there with Justin, I really didn't know what to expect. I knew he had his fair share of hardships while he was there too. He did get very sick the first time.
Yeah, I almost died quite a few times. I got sick over there, and I thought that was it.
My family was super nervous about me leaving. I mean, they literally did everything they could possibly do to make me not go, and I just kept telling them, I'm going. Justin and I are going to Uganda. this is happening, and it has to happen. It's so important for the organization to have somebody else from the American side of this to be involved with it, to show that it is growing on both sides of the ocean, and then also to bring new skills. And just like Justin said, I can teach something different than what he can teach, and it expands their minds and brings more attention to the organization out there in Uganda too. So with that, when we first landed, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I knew I could trust Justin. I knew, like whatever happened, and if something happened, then we were in it together. So we went through kind of everything, and I mean, the first second that we walked out of the airport front doors and saw Mary, which is one of the good friends.
Yeah, Mary's probably one of my best friends over there.
And it was kind of a relief, because I was kind of nervous based on what Justin had told me. A lot of things were very, it's not like here. We live in such uptight circumstances in the United States, I feel like, compared to there, where it was not, everything was much more loosely timed and things. I mean, they tried the best they could, but that's why I was a little nervous. Like, are we even going to get picked up at the airport? What are we going to do if we have to stay in the airport overnight? Like, how do we communicate with anybody? We don't have our cell phones. We don't have any service. We don't have literally anything that we were used to, or at least I was used to. And, after that day went through and we finally got to the kids where they were playing, it was, I'll never forget the tears rolling down from my eyes when we first walked in there and saw all these kids playing guitar, all for us, playing,
all smiling.
Yeah, it was something that will stick with me again for the rest of my life. And I mean, as soon as we just dove right in to start teaching, I could tell exactly what Justin was talking about the whole time. It was just this eagerness, this passion right off the bat. It was like this new found science that they had, this newfound art form that just never really existed. Now, they did say that they knew like little bits of rock and roll, barely.
They had heard of it.
They had heard of it, and I think some of the older, like the teachers, had maybe heard a song or two here and there, maybe at a club or at a local restaurant or something, but it was so rare. And the fact that they picked it up so quickly and they loved it so much just made it that much more exciting to be there and experience that adventure. So I implore anybody out there, anybody who ever listens to this podcast, please get in contact with us, because we really want you to be a part of this. We want everybody to know about what's going on, and to bring music to another community outside of this country, outside of this continent, outside of this hemisphere is not as hard as you might think.
Yeah.
So join us. We would love to have you.
I just want to add one more thing too. The first day we got there, they had all the stuff that they wanted to show us, and they wrote this song called, our friend Jimmy Hustler wrote the lyrics to it. He's over there in Uganda. And they had like 12 people playing guitar, singing, dancing. And it's called Break. And it's all about how they want to smash a guitar, but they can't because they don't have a guitar they can just smash. And it's punk.
Yeah.
Like, we listened to it, and it's a punk song. And we never taught them how to like write punk or like what it was, or they didn't even really know what it was. But they wrote a punk song. And like, that is just,
dude, Ugandan punk, man.
Yeah, I mean that's how you know that it's real. I mean, everyone's always asking who invented punk, who discovered punk. I think punk was around before we were.
Yeah, it's just about rebelling.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's really what it is.
Yeah, right.
Just like sort of rock and roll sort of is punk. Mm-hmm. It's just punk is a derivative of rock and roll.
Absolutely.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, well, we're an hour in. If you guys want to start getting ready to do your song, we
I
can
would
do
love
that
to.
now.
Let's do it up.
Sure.
All right. All right. So, what's the song you guys are gonna play?
We are gonna play a song called "Will You Murder Me," and it's a fast pop punk song, but we're gonna do a little acoustic jam for you.
Awesome.
I had to fight the feeling off that I wanted to forget you, but I fought it off to get you, and I swear that I won't let you smile as you cry. I'm trying to forget you by staying awake and wishing the world away. This might be the depth of me, but this could be the rest of me. Will you murder me? her when I'm lying in my bed and telling lies inside my head. I lie awake, I lie to make it all okay for you, and I still feel you at my side to slice and spatter my insides. I lie awake, I lie to take the pain away from you, and this might be,
we'll wait and see,
the death of me.
I start to bleed,
But this could be the rest of
I'm
me.
on my knees.
Will you murder me? I'm alive, and I check the time by staring at the sun until my eyes burn up and dry. I cry, but I can't try. I'm a ghost that flies during the night, who died right beside Frankenstein, who laughs until he cries when he brings me back to life. This might be,
We'll wait and see,
the death of me.
I start to bleed,
But this could be the rest of
I'm
me.
on my knees.
Will you murder me? This might be
We'll wait and see,
death of me,
I start to bleed,
but this could be the rest of
I'm
me.
on my knees.
Will you murder me?
All right, so that was Powder Keg with,
Justin.
Jake.
And Peter?
and you've been listening to Off the Record. That was awesome, guys. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
I'm so glad we
Seriously,
had you.
Sean, thank you for having
Thank you
us
so
on
much,
today.
This should be out within the next week, so make sure to listen like 1,000 times, everybody. Everybody listening on the radio right now, listen to this on our podcast page again. Listen to it again.
If you don't, I'll write you a strongly worded email, and you won't like it.
And it's
Yes.
going to be on all caps.
All caps.
That's correct. So this has been Off the Record. Tune in next time. We'll have somebody else. Thanks for listening, guys.